So today I'm here to talk about security cameras. I've been looking for a new security camera for my living room for the past couple months. My current security camera is a fixed position, so it can't capture everything I'm looking for. I have a lot of tall furniture that obscures the views of the room, and I have a little dog, a corgi, so he's very short to the ground, so a lot of times I can't see him. And one of the main purposes of the camera is to monitor my pet's activity when I'm away from home, along with the other typical security camera usages, just making sure that the house is okay. So in my search, I came across the Wyze Cam Pan, which is an interesting name. It's the version 3 of the camera. There used to be older versions of this prior. Wyze has been in the security cam game for a few years now, and they usually offer budget options for people. I picked this one up on Amazon right before Christmas, and it was about $30. Depending on the sale, it's plus or minus $5 from $30. As you can see, it tilts 180 degrees, and it also rotates 360 degrees about its base. Today I'm going to go an overview of the camera and then delve into the features it has and my thoughts about it and whether you should consider buying it over the more expensive options from Ring, Blink, or Nest. So just for warning, my use case is only using the camera indoors. You can't use this camera outdoors. It is IP65 rated, so it's dust proof and light water pressure proof, so you can hose it down or it will survive through the rain, but I'm not going to be using it in that manner and won't be going over installing it outside or how it performs outside in that environment today. This is what comes in the box. This is the box here. You can see it has color night vision, indoor and outdoor pan, tilt, and zoom. So it's rated to be outside, meaning it has an IP65 rating, which it says somewhere here. So that basically means it's dust proof and light water pressure proof. So if you were to spray with a hose or if there's rain, has motion and sound detection. Of course, it tilts and pans. It's 1080p. You can see color at night. It has local recording, and it has cloud recording if you have a subscription to their service, a wide angle lens, and then two-way sound. So you have a microphone, and you also have you can talk to it, and it has a speaker. So it comes with the camera itself that you see here, and then this is the camera parts. On the camera, it has a setup button, and it has a covered slot for an SD card. And then on the base, it has a speaker, and this is, so you can see the tilting, and then the rotation is on the base itself like that. On the back of the base, there's also a speaker. On the bottom, you have your power port, and you also have something like a tripod mount that you can use. Along with the camera, you have a mounting bracket if you're going to mount it to a wall. So essentially, it'll go like this, and then you'll attach it actually upside down, kind of like that, against the wall. Also comes with a mounting guide sticker, so you know where to drill. And then you have your mounting hardware and the screw to mount the bracket to the camera itself. You have a sort of proprietary 6-foot micro USB cable for power. You see this power port has an indent for this, so you can probably use a different micro cable, but it probably won't fit quite as well since this is made for this cable. This is a little bit unfortunately short. So most houses in the US are 8 to 10 feet ceiling height, and this is only 6 feet. So your socket's probably like 1 to 2 feet off the ground. So this, unless you're gonna just go straight down, probably won't reach. If you have to bend it all, you won't have enough length. So I think that's kind of a big issue. They should go for like 11 to 12 feet to accommodate all ceiling heights, since you're mostly gonna put this, close to the ceiling as high as you can, so it gets the best vantage point. And then you also get some slack to route the cable in some fashion so it doesn't look so ugly. And then lastly, you have your little power brick. I think any USB port will work, so you don't necessarily have to use this, but it's included. So I'm going to talk about the setup of the device. The setup of the device is pretty easy. This camera doesn't have Bluetooth, so it has some steps where you need to press buttons on the camera to set it up and then use the camera to read a QR code. So you don't want to do this after you install it, especially if you're installing it somewhere it's hard to reach. So after you set up your Wyze account and download the app, you go to the plus menu, you do add device, camera, and then Wyze Cam Pan V3. It looks like the actual camera, so it's easy to identify. And then it tells you plug it in. So I'm going to just take the power cord and then, plug it into the back. Make sure it's fully seated in this hole, since it can be deceiving that if it's actually connected or not. So it's plugged in, and then I'm looking for a red light that's on. So the red light is on. I'm going to click next. Loading, and now you're going to select a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi network that you have. Oh, it's doing something. So I'm going to select mine. Oops, no, it has to be a 2.4. So this one, and then I'll type in my password. Next. Then it says to press the setup button on your device. So here is on the back of the camera section, and you just press it.
Ready to connect.
The app asks you if it's ready, you've heard ready to connect. You say yes, click next. And then you need to scan the QR code here. So it's really big on my folding phone.
Ready to connect.
So I'm going to just point the camera at the QR code.
QR code scanned. Please wait.
As you can hear, it got the QR code. It says, yes, I heard QR code scanned. Hit next. And it's connecting to the Wi-Fi network. It's connected. Now you can name your device. I'm going to name mine living room cam. It has a bunch of useful defaults that you can use. And then here you can choose if you just want to use basic, so no subscription, no cloud recording. It's basically you can look at the camera and do local recording. And then you have some of the other options. You have Cam Plus, and then there's other various ones. There's one called Cam Protect where you're going to have your cloud recording, and that's the one I would recommend, and that's about $3 a month if you need that cloud backup. So I'm just going to choose basic for now. I already have Cam Protect, so I just have to activate it on this camera, so I'll do that later. So I'll continue. Yes, I want basic. Skip this. Skip mounting for now. And then you can see the camera is live, so now it's working. You can even see it kind of already track my hand just a little bit. I'm a little bit too close to the camera for it to be working effectively, but it's all set up. So that took like, I don't know, a couple minutes with me narrating it. So it's very easy. Bluetooth would be a little bit easier since you can install it in a weird location. If you need to reset it up, you can use the Bluetooth to do that. But for the price of $30 compared to $120 for a similar product from Ring or whoever, I think it's completely acceptable. So let's go over the features and controls of the Wyze Cam Pan in the app. So I'm going to select the camera I just set up, which is the living room cam. You can see I have other Wyze cameras. And then of course the default thing is the live feed. The first thing you see on the menu is the SD card. So if you insert an SD card into the Wyze Cam, it can continuously record or just record events. So if you click that here, you can see at the bottom, I can go to previous recordings. And if you have events tagged, you'll actually see them listed here. So you can know to go to them. So for example, you see here 337, it recognizes my dog. So going back to live. So if you don't have the cloud subscription, you'll see in recent events here, you'll get a picture, and then if you're recording on the SD card, you can use that picture to go to the recording where it is on the SD card. But if you have the subscription where you have cloud recording, you'll get the a video notifications. So you'll skip straight to a video that's on the cloud and you can download it. I'll go back to live. You can also take a photo manually if you please. You can record manually if you don't have motion detection or tracking or events on or continuous recording on. You have privacy mode. You have a siren that you can alarm. You have track motion, which I have on. You have a time-lapse feature. And then you have this thing called pan scan. So let me show you that here. So you see I have different waypoints for the camera. So waypoints is a set position in the camera. So if I click it, it'll go there, it'll go there, it'll go there, and it'll go there. And you can set these up automatically. And then you can use the controls to manually move the camera around however you please, up, down, left, right. Now, there's something special to note about the pan mode. So the pan mode will not work with detection zones. So if I go here and I go to detection settings, I can change the motion detection sensitivity, but I can't turn on the detection zone. You see mine is off because I have pan on. So if I turn detection zones on, then as you see at the bottom, it says pan scan has been disabled. And that's because it can't do it for multiple zones. It can only do it for one fixed view. And you can see here, you can change which part of the screen it's looking for. So this is a problem if you need both, because for example, in one of my views, this view, I have this TV, which it always captures motions and it thinks it's a person because, you know, there's a person on the TV. It doesn't know it's a video feed. So I can't get it to not track that unless I just get the TV completely out of view, which is obviously a problem. So I'll cancel this. I can't use it. I'm going to reposition the camera to get around that. But this is something Wyze should definitely work on. So having detection zones for each waypoint in the pan scan. Now going back, you have event recording. So you can record all motion events, or you can record smart detection events and record sound events. So smart detections are just what the image recognition software that's running on this camera or the cloud is using to identify different things. So they have person, friendly faces, pets, vehicles, package, and then sounds, crying, meowing, barking, talking, gun shooting, glass breaking, you know, things that are relevant to a security camera. So I have them all activated. Sometimes it tags it correctly, sometimes it doesn't. It's pretty hit or miss. I haven't used the sound one much, but for the images, it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. 50-50. So I'll go back. And then you have alarm settings, which I don't really use. But it looks like it detects alarms from smoke or CO alarms, and then it'll alert you. And then more importantly, in advanced settings, this is where you have your SD card control. So you can have it set to continuous or events only. This will work in either without the subscription to the service, and then you can actually review your events in full video. Whereas if you don't have the service and you didn't have the SD card, you can only see a picture or a very short clip of what you saw. And you can only, there's a cooldown period between event recordings if you don't have any subscription and no SD card. And then you have to manage SD card, so you can format it, see how much space is used. It automatically rolls over if it gets full. And then you have motor controls here. And then you have night vision mode, which I always just leave on auto. This is probably the best feature of the Wyze cameras that people talk about, is the night vision mode. It just works really good. And then lastly, you can, rotate the image 180 degrees depending on how you have the camera installed, if it's upside down or right side up. And that's basically it for most of the settings and control that you can do. You can also review all your recent events down here for the pan cam specifically, or it's aggregated into the events of all your cameras over here. I'm going to do a quick test of the tracking function and a general view of the image quality in a well-lit room. So I'm going to be going left and right, up and down, and you can watch the camera feed and also a view of the camera tracking my actual movement from a different point of view. So let's do that. So I'm going left, and I can see that it's tracking me. The image box is pretty spot on the app. See, I can go kind of all the way, kind of 90 degrees to the left, and then as I'm walking around it, it is still tracking 90 degrees to the right. It's not the smoothest, but it seems pretty accurate to me. Like, I'm always in the frame, so if I was like a burglar or my pet, I would be always able to see it, and that's what's important. The resolution of the screen is 1080p, and I think the image quality is pretty good, but then again, this is also a well-lit room, so I would expect it to be pretty decent. Now, I'll next do a test where I'll turn off all the lights and see how the tracking performs in a dimly lit room situation. Now I'm repeating the same test, but now I'm in a dimly lit room. It is not completely dark, it just has some ambient, a little bit of ambient light, and seeing how the tracking and image quality is in a dark room, and if it suffers a little bit compared to the bright room scenario. So here we go. Seems to still be tracking me pretty good, going all the way to the left, down and up, and then making my way back to the right. It still seems to be working pretty good. The image quality in the dark, using whatever their nighttime color technology, seems to be working pretty well. I think it looks pretty decent. Definitely more than acceptable for just a indoor security camera. Not trying to, shoot a movie or a YouTube video using this as an A cam or something. So yeah, I don't see any particular degradation. Faster movement still also works well. And you can see the camera moving with my movement too. So it doesn't seem to be affected by dimly lit scenario. So very good performance from Wyze in both well-lit room and a dark lit room for the tracking algorithm and the image quality of the camera itself. So I decided to do a couple more real-world tests using the tracking. I have it installed in my living room. You can see here it tracks my dog a little bit in the lit room, and I also do the same thing in a dark room. But the same problem persists if you install the camera upright and it has to point down. The problem is that the base of the camera will block its view. This is kind of a design flaw, but you can overcome it by installing it upside down such that the camera is on the bottom and it's pointing down. Another issue is that the camera will falsely track things that are not actual people, like the motion on a television is one scenario I saw, or like changing lights. And the problem with this is that if you have pan on, you can't have detection zones, so you can't exclude those areas where there's going to be false motion that it will capture. You can also try the smart detect feature that will only detect certain types of motion, so like people, cars, or pets, and exclude ones you don't want. But the problem is I've seen it classify lights flickering as a pet and boxes as people, things like that. So it doesn't work that well. There's not a really good way of getting around this if you want pan mode on. The Wyze Pan Cam has two-way communication, so it has a microphone and a speaker. I'm going to test the quality of the speaker and the microphone talking to my wife, who's in a different room. You normally wouldn't be this close to the camera when you're speaking, but it's just easier for me to test and show you this way. And I have a microphone here. So Angela, can you hear me? And how do I sound?
Yes, I can hear you. You sound clear, but there's a little bit delay.
From the other room, and it takes about 2 to 3 seconds for after she speaks for me to hear it on the camera itself. But when it comes through, it sounds okay. But if this was like you're trying to communicate to someone outside or whoever is on the camera that you're actually doing it remotely and you can't actually hear them in real life, it might be an issue. It would make communication troublesome. And I've noticed this security cameras too, not just the Wyze, but, Ring and Blink and the Nest products. They all have some significant audio delay. Can you tell me what date it is, Angela?
December 26, 2023.
Great, thanks. So as you can hear, it sounds pretty okay, but as I mentioned, there's a significant delay, so keep that in mind. While I'm on the subject of sound, when I went over the app features, one of the features is a siren, so let's just listen to what that sounds like. Cover your ears. Alright, so that's how it sounds. It is not that loud actually, and I'm right next to the camera. So it's more like an alarm clock. I would say some alarm clocks are actually louder. So I wouldn't expect that sound to really startle someone or deter them from committing a crime or something if that's what you were using it for. My final thoughts on the Wyze Cam Pan is that it's a very good value at $30, and especially since you can pick it up almost anywhere, Home Depot, Amazon. For the price of one Ring stick-up camera with panning and tilting base, you're looking at $130 on Amazon right now. So you could basically get 4 of these and outfit your entire house with them. You could have some, if you're not getting 4 of them, you can buy the extra long cable to make the install more compatible with whatever your location is. The main weakness with the camera is that you're going to have a lot of false positive motion recognitions because it's just looking for the shift in pixels, as I mentioned. That can range from just getting a lot of, erroneous recordings that are just, a tree blowing in the wind, your TV, lights flickering, dust moving right in front of the lens, to something more critical like the motion tracking being stuck on a moving object that is permanent and not looking in the right direction and missing a possibly important event. So you have to be aware if you have things like, a ceiling fan, something that's moving, like lights flickering in a window, flowing curtains because of your HVAC system, or if it's outside swaying trees, you have to exclude those either physically, pointing the camera away from them, or in the software if you're not using the pan function. If you need that pan function and you also need motion tracking, you have to be very careful since you can't use the text zone setting. But beyond that, if you're not too worried about those things, this is a great camera. Even without a subscription, which is only like $1.50 to $3 a month, depending on which plan you get, you can record directly local to an SD card and look at your events that way. Most of the other cameras from Ring, Nest, whatever, do not support that at all. So you can run this very cheaply compared to those. And of course, Wyze is a budget-friendly option, and it continues in that regard in terms of their service. You don't have to subscribe to their more premium services, but you can. And I totally recommend that. You never know when there might be an event or catastrophe that takes out the camera, or your SD card is corrupt, and then you would lose all of the recordings that might be important to you. And to do that because you didn't want to spend $20 a year would seem like a big regret in the end, then versus just spending it. So if you like my content, if you like this review, you found it useful or insightful, please like and subscribe and support the channel. I'll be bringing more content every couple of weeks, about depending on how busy I am at work. But I hope you enjoyed it and have a happy new year.